Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. We begin with police use of force and arrests in West Haven, Connecticut of protesters at a demonstration concerned with the killing back in January of Mubarak Soulemane. TSVN covered the start of the rally and the march to the police station. It was all completely peaceful, and a police car properly escorted people up the steep hill to the police station.
Justice for Mubarak! Justice for Mubarak! Justice for Mubarak!
No justice?
No peace.
No racist?
Police.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Mubarak's life mattered.
Mubarak's life matter.
Kira, we're here at the West Haven Green. What's going to happen today?
Today we're here to talk about Mubarak Soulemane and the case that happened just down the street at exit 43 in West Haven, where West Haven police were on the scene with State Trooper Brian North, State Trooper Jackson, and they ended up shooting and killing Mubarak Soulemane while he was blocked in. And we're here today because we're supposed to be hearing a verdict back from State Attorney Michael Gaylor, even though they signed the Senate Bill 380, which states they have to go through with an investigation within 120 days. It's already been 166 days. So we're here to put more pressure on them and to make sure that his voice and his story is still being echoed around the city, because we don't want it to die down.
So the question is whether the state attorney will level an indictment. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Have we learned anything more about what happened that day? Have the questions been answered by the West Haven City or the West Haven Police?
No, not at all. We did have a phone bank event and an email bank event where we were emailing and calling the West Haven PD, Norwalk PD, and Troop G barracks. And unfortunately, West Haven PD said that to some of our callers that they did not have a chief that they could direct our callers to. They had no idea who Mubarak Soulemane was, and they had no idea what the case was about.
They had no idea who he was. When was this?
This was about 2 weeks ago while we were doing phone banks. That's what they said to most of the people who were calling.
Wow, incredible. So what about at the state level? Governor Lamont, the state police are under his authority. Has there been any communication, any report? Has the trooper been suspended even?
There hasn't been any communication between us and Governor Lamont. There hasn't been any official word from the state barracks either about what happened. The only thing that we know is that as soon as it happened, as soon as it became very widespread, that Trooper Brian North was put on desk duty. So he has not been suspended or put on paid administrative leave. He's just simply on desk duty to what we believe, but we haven't got any updates from that.
Black lives matter.
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 Justice for Movie. Justice for Movie. Justice for Movie. Justice for Movie.
Justice for Mubarak.
Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell. Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail. The whole damn system is guilty as hell.
Give me that black Tesla, black skid marks on the pavement, cops wanna see me in a black cage.
To the left.
To the left.
To the left. To the left. To the left.
If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down.
Shut it down.
Soulemane. Mubarak was my brother. And thank you for chanting the streets with us, even though it was a bit messy. It's been 6 months. It's almost about to be 6 months on July 15th since my brother's life was brutally taken. And my family and I are disappointed and frustrated at the efforts or the lack of efforts of the police department and the state attorney. Because as Kira was stating, we do not think it should require this much time to review the footage and look at, and clear as day, look at how that murder was not justified. And West Haven police, we are here today because we believe they are complicit in the murder. They were there, and instead of taking tactics to de-escalate the situation, it revolved in my brother having 7 gunshots pierced into his skin. So today we are here to call out the West Haven Police Department, to call out the Connecticut State Department, and specifically we want to indict Brian North for the murder of my brother. May we say his name? Mubarak Soulemane.
Mubarak Soulemane.
Thank you, guys. So if you could continue being active with us, we are on our toes waiting for this verdict. I do not know why it's taking so long. They apparently want to blow up the footage and see what was inside of the car. What is there to see? The window was, the mirror was up. Our brother was in the car with the seatbelt on. And yet you took the militarized approach and shot him 7 times. So my family and I, again, it has been 6 months and we're still fighting for justice. And thank you for being along for the ride. And please continue to spread the word. We do not want this to be silenced because Connecticut has the habit of trying to keep these cases silent and posing as the most perfect, pristine state, and that is not the case. They have some cases that they need to take accountability for. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for marching the streets with us. No justice.
No peace.
No racist.
Police.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Mubarak's life mattered.
Mubarak's life mattered.
Thank you.
The trouble came after the protest when people were walking down the street back to their cars. A woman drove her car right through the line of march. People dodged as fast as they could, but several apparently were clipped. According to a protester's statement on Fox 61 News, the driver yelled a vile curse and said, "All lives matter." That's the white nationalist cry, the demand that we ignore what's being done to black people. If the Fox report was correct, the driver acted out of hate for black people. So her nasty remark, followed by the assault with a motor vehicle, was a hate crime, what Connecticut law calls first-degree intimidation. As you can imagine, marchers were angry and they chased her car. She stopped and police swiftly arrived. They spoke to her, but instead of arresting her, they escorted her home. They evidently ordered people off the street, and when protesters didn't immediately comply, the police started arresting people and they used force. 2 were injured, 1 with a spinal fracture. And it wasn't just a few police, dozens were involved, some from neighboring towns. And the West Haven Canine Squad came out with 4 dogs barking furiously at protesters. What a disgrace. Nothing was going on. Nothing but angry words from people who supposedly had the right to free speech. For what possible reason did the police bring out dogs? They acted like cops in the bad old days of the 50s and 60s in Selma, Alabama. This is no joke. Car ramming of protesters is becoming the favorite cowardly attack method of racists. Just last week, Summer Taylor was killed in a car ramming in Seattle. And there's more. The people arrested had to make bail. In at least one case, the bail was set at $10,000. That means you have to go to a bail bondsman and pledge $1,000 to the bail bondsman, which you never get back. On Tuesday, July 7th, there was a West Haven Board of Police Commissioners meeting scheduled to be held in the police station. Why they recklessly held a public meeting indoors, I don't know. I went to make a public statement, and there were 20 to 30 other people there. But the door to the station was closed and locked. After a while, the head police commissioner, Ray Collins, came out and said that the board had no idea there would be so many people ready to make a public statement, that it would be unsafe to crowd them all in the police station, and that the meeting had actually been adjourned. Someone in the crowd asked why they didn't hold the meeting over Zoom. Collins said that the police department wasn't equipped to do that now. He said they would try to reschedule, they'd let people know when it was going to occur, but at any rate, the next public meeting was set for August 4th. People began to pepper him with questions about police conduct. He listened for a few minutes, turned on his heels, and left. People stayed around for a while and talked, but there was no reason why West Haven's 5 police commissioners couldn't have come out of the station and talked informally with the people. All public meetings should be on Zoom, with the public comment time be available for people to make their statements in person. Now something startling that was barely reported by the media. On July 4th, hundreds, maybe 1,000 black men and women formed a heavily armed militia at Stone Mountain in Georgia. They wanted to call attention to the massive stone carvings of Confederate heroes on that mountain where the KKK first organized. The group NFAC, Not Messing Around Coalition, drilled for a while and challenged the racists.
We here. Where the f you at? We in your house.
I don't know who these people were. They were led by a man who called himself Grandmaster Jay. Some on the internet said they were connected to a religious group that called themselves the Hebrews. I don't know if that's true. At any rate, it is a sign. Racists better take note that black people won't go down easily as they did during Reconstruction 130 years ago. Blacks are furious and determined. Now to the car caravan and virtual rally against the killingly fracked gas plant and against environmental racism. We drove up to Hartford to find that the streets were filled with people at an all Black Lives Matter protest. The all was put in to include explicitly LGBTQ people.
What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Now. What do we want? Justice.
These are some of the signs attached to the cars by tape, magnets, string, and who knows what. Stop the Killingly power plant. Outrageous that we have to fight our own government to save the environment. Fracking poisons water. Black lives matter. This banner was tied between a sign and a tree opposite Deep. After the young marchers moved on, we took to the streets and honked. There were about 25 to 30 cars at times as we drove again and again past Deep, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, and around the Capitol. Unfortunately, the buildings were generally empty because of the virus. We need you to spread the word by retweeting the tweets at CT Climate to at Gov Ned Lamont. After circling the Deep building for 45 minutes, we went on to the governor's mansion on the border of Hartford and West Hartford. The governor is actually there in residence. A couple people from Unidad Latinas en Acción took an anti-fracking banner and attached it to the governor's gates for a few minutes. While all this was going on, there was a virtual rally of talks by activists going on over the internet.
I think we're going to get started here now with the virtual Zoom rally. It looks like a car caravan is about to step out, which is great. Thank you everyone for joining us and for being a part of this. Really appreciate all the speakers coming in, and I just want to give a quick intro to why we're here and why we're doing this. So we're taking action today because the climate crisis is here and people are already suffering from the ongoing effects of it. Low-income people and people of color are suffering the worst. And we cannot simultaneously work towards a reduction in greenhouse gases and build this power plant that is planned to go in Killingly, Connecticut. Our state's climate goals would be impossible to meet if the Killingly power plant is built. A Killingly fracked gas power plant will emit 2 million tons of carbon dioxide annually, increasing Connecticut's annual carbon emissions by up to 5%. There's no regional need for this power, and according to the Energy Information Administration data, electricity demand in New England has been flat for over 10 years. I'm going to give the floor to Bishop John Selders. He's a minister of the United Church of Christ, an assistant dean at Trinity College, and a leader of the Moral Mondays Connecticut movement. I've heard him speak several times, and he's always inspiring to me. Bishop Selders, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you very much, and greetings to all of you who are here, who are participating, and who are in any wise conscious about what it is that is happening in our communities. As an African American who lived in Hartford, it was appalling as I moved here 20 years ago to see and to then get to know in very short order what we now call Mount Trashmore was about. That is that near mountain that's right next to the Connecticut River, just north of downtown Hartford. And to know that for years and years, it was the site of the trash dump and the trash heap for the region. And to know then coupled with that, the highest rates of asthma of any state our size in the country happens right here in Hartford. So it is clear to me that we have a problem, an environmental problem. This incinerator is a problem, and that it targets, or it is located very close to Black and brown communities, is of continual worry for me. And so there is a moral obligation and a moral response. I believe we have addressed issues that affect us and affect groups of people in the way that this particular issue does. And so I'm in support of everything that's been laid out today, and this effort to call attention to what continues to me to be a problem of environmental racism, environmental injustice, and that we are in support of ending this. One more thing I want to say. Anytime we are doing a thing that at the end of it has money attached to it, that the making of money is the driving force and not the overall and support and nurturing care of people and community, is problematic and needs to end. People are making money at the expense of people's health, and in particular, Black and brown people's health. We got a Houston, Hartford, Bridgeport, Connecticut. We got a problem. Thank you for listening, you all. Peace.
Thank you so much, Bishop Selders, for those words. We appreciate them, and we definitely appreciate you coming on the call as he highlights so much of the issues that's going on. Up next, we have Senna. She's a 16-year-old activist and co-director of Sunrise Connecticut, and a rising junior at the University of Connecticut who has been fighting for the environment since the age of 5. Senna is an inspiration to me. She's an inspiration to this environmental community, and I'm going to give her the floor. Thank you, Senna.
Thank you so much, Mitch. So like Mitch just said, my name is Senna Wazer. I am a 16-year-old climate justice advocate and the co-director of Sunrise Connecticut. Right now, we are in an incredibly powerful moment. Not only are we in the middle of the deadly COVID-19 pandemic, but we are also experiencing the largest protests over racial discrimination and police brutality since the 1960s. And so what I want to highlight today is the need not just for climate action, but for climate justice. We know that we only have about 10 years left to stop the worst effects of the climate crisis. We know that we need to act now, that we cannot wait any longer. We also know that climate change doesn't affect everyone equally. It affects Black and brown, low-income communities first, and worse than wealthier, whiter communities. We know that we need a solution, but what we really need is an equitable solution. A solution that centers frontline and marginalized communities. A solution that takes fossil fuel workers into account and ensures a just transition. A solution like the Green New Deal.
More of the talks next week. Now take a look at this little graphic. For weeks now, the New York Times has been showing what's happening to the numbers of people getting the coronavirus in the US. It's been going up alarmingly. Today, July 9th, it's up 60% over the figure of the last 2 weeks. Since June 1st, I think the numbers have varied, sometimes even going up into the high 80% level. But we've been assured from high up that the number is just a result of more testing and that the number of deaths has gone down. And it was for weeks. The second number was consistently around minus 25%. But that was until last week. Then the number got smaller and smaller, and now the drop in deaths is almost zero. It's probably a matter of time before this pandemic-ridden country will see deaths per day going up over 1,000. Not to bum you out totally, we close with some very good news. News of 3 victories.
These 3 victories are huge, and we couldn't have done it without the frontline communities fighting from them from the start. This is what happens when we come together with our organizing. It's people-powered, and we win.
That's our program for today. Stay safe, folks, but stay active. I'm Stanley Heller for The Struggle.